All right, welcome everybody to today's webinar on how you can get more out of AI, specifically in the commercial furniture space. My name is JJ Russell. I am our VP of Sales here at Vsimple.
What's up, guys? Matt Stovall, Director of Sales here.
And we know that this is a hot topic right now. Everybody is trying to figure out, as the wave of AI is coming, you see it probably in your news feed or in your Twitter feed, I guess X feed.
Yep.
You hear about it on the radio, whatever news sources you follow, thought leadership you follow, everybody is talking about AI. And so, here at Vsimple, Matt, we are inside of people's operations, kind of behind the scenes views of what people are doing well, and where really the opportunities are for people specifically, again, in the commercial furniture space, you leaders listening at home, where the opportunities are for them to create leverage, and that's what we want to talk about today.
Yeah, absolutely. It's applicable for manufacturing, it's applicable for distribution, it's applicable for execution of projects. I mean, it really spans the gamut of the entire industry. And I think, with us being able to share kind of what we're seeing out in the market, not only from what our customers are doing, but also what we're hearing from people that we speak to, other technology leaders, best-in-class dealerships are always talking to us about, hey, I'm hearing about X, can you explain to me how we can get there? And I think a lot of what we want to cover today is really just helping companies understand presently where they sit and then help them build a roadmap to achieve goals down the road in the future.
That's right. So I know we've got probably some clients in the room. Welcome. Great to have you all here with us. People who are learning about Vsimple for the first time. And so, again, I know I primed it a little bit, but just to give you a quick explainer of who we are at Vsimple, we are an AI-powered operations platform that is completely built for, tailored to our clients, where we are pulling together all of their technology, all of their process, all of their workflows into one platform with the goal of creating as much leverage as possible through automation and then the use of AI as we can for our clients. So this is something that's really kind of, we are hands-on doing this day-to-day for companies just like yours. We want this to be super interactive. So question and answer, Q&A. We got Austin here in the room with us. He's behind the scenes, working the microphones, working the lighting. Don't be shy. Smallest question, biggest question. We had a lot of great engagement in the webinar we did yesterday. Make sure you're dropping them in here for us. To kind of tease out how the next 35 minutes are going to go so you can know exactly what to expect, I'm going to spend 10 minutes, no more, talking about kind of what's happening in the marketplace right now, the macro environment of AI, probably some of the things that you're feeling in your leadership role, but I'm going to put some numbers behind it so you have kind of a feel of what your peers are doing. And then Matt's going to jump in, and where we really want to spend the bulk of our time is you talking our listeners through tactical, kind of here's a 4-step framework for how you can deploy this into your business. So we won't cut time or waste time. We're going to jump right in. So what is the state of AI in commercial furniture? Matt, I think there was this maybe like a false belief, and I don't think anybody is really buying into it right now, but maybe over the last 2 to 3 years that this AI boom is coming. And so I want to look for a few minutes at this study that McKinsey did. They did 2017 is when they started the study, but then they redid the study in 2023. And really the picture that was painted was one where AI impact on businesses is accelerating exponentially. And so again, you're probably feeling this, but I want to help quantify what this actually looks like. So the metric that McKinsey was looking at, and the name of the study is here at the bottom of the slide if you want to follow up and do your own research. It's called The Economic Potential of Generative AI, the Next Productivity Frontier. And they were looking at what is the time horizon within which automation and generative AI will replace the time that humans are currently spending working every day. Said more simply, how quickly will AI replace the work that your teammates or team members are doing every day? When they did this study in 2017, they found that kind of midpoint, best guess, half of the time and tasks currently, half of the time your team spends on work will be replaced by AI in 2053. Well, 7 years later, they reran the study, and they've now accelerated that kind of best guessed midpoint to 2045. So hey, we did this, 7 years apart, we ran the same exact study, and they've already bumped up their estimates by 7 to 8 years. I want you to look, kind of as you're following along at home, on the front end of this curve. So what is the most aggressive projection for 50% work replacement? And just watch kind of how parabolic this exponential goes. Really what we're seeing here is, if this thing continues to accelerate, half of the time that your team's spending on work today, having to do it manually, is going to be replaced within the next 5 to 10 years.
Yeah, and I think what we're also realizing is that, I think a couple of years ago, the misconception was also, well, I need a nuclear power plant to feed my AI agent. It's so complicated.
That's right.
It's going to be all time consuming for us to even figure out how to implement this into a business. And so you've got presently the extremes of, sure, I can go create a picture of a dinosaur riding a hot dog in the ocean and my kids think it's hilarious.
That's right.
All the way to, what is Google and Microsoft doing? How have they gone and procured and disabled nuclear reactor, basically have turned it back on because they're looking 50 years ahead.
That's right.
But between those two extremes is the present. And where we've seen this chart pull in a lot is that the applicability is now, right?
That's right.
And it's much more accessible from a practical standpoint, and being able to streamline your business and your operations, not just I'm having fun with it, or we're probably going to go to the moon with it. So it's really exciting to see this kind of come to fruition so quickly.
Yeah, the practical nature of what AI is currently doing. So other thought leaders in the space, or some names or consultancies that are running analysis that you probably value and would appreciate hearing from. This was IDC. They did a artificial intelligence spend report, and they found that it was about $200 billion that went into AI systems in 2023. Fast forward 3 years, and they're expecting that to grow to $300 billion. So you're just seeing this massive acceleration in terms of AI spending. What kind of impact can it create? And we're actually seeing this with our clients tangibly. AI adoption can drive 40% reduction in operational costs and a 20 to 30% boost in productivity. We see that every day, right? Let's go in, let's audit a workflow, and what kind of impact can we make?
Yeah, and I think the challenge here is understanding that this is, incremental gains that when you start to stack them together become really powerful. It's not about trying to find ways to reduce the headcount or, not engage your existing employee base. It's about, hey, the manual, monotonous, valueless tasks that we all get stuck doing every single day, if I can remove that from your plate, what can you afford your time to go do next? It's like, well, I can now go service my customers better.
That's right.
I can beef up my pipeline. I can engage with prospects in a more diligent, deliberate manner. So this is all focused on, if I remove 5 minutes here, 15 minutes there, can build that document, can read that document, compound that together, and you're starting to create the operational efficiencies that you're seeing out there.
Love that. All right, so for those of you in the room, business leaders in the room, there is a consensus that failure to adopt AI puts your business at risk. And that's not in the next 30 years, it's in the next 3 years. At the same time, this stat's the one that I think makes this conversation super important. Everybody knows that it's an existential risk, and yet 1 in 10 leaders feel fully prepared to deploy AI at scale. That might be you. And so if it is, super glad that you're here, because what is still available, especially in these spaces that are not like cutting edge software, right? You're not a SaaS company that's kind of running ahead of all these trends. The industry that you compete in is middle of the pack or behind some of these new technological rollouts. And so first mover advantage is still available to you. And so the point that we're hoping to make today is this competitive gap is going to be created. So at a high level, we're going to give you the practical things that you can think about and apply to your business. But I do think at a high level, if you walk away just kind of with this frame in mind, this competitive advantage is growing exponentially over time. You can either be on the forefront of that, or you can become kind of a laggard.
Yeah, technology is not a necessary evil anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's been tried and true for many, many years, where it's like just another thing I have to use to do my job. And quite honestly, that mindset is gone, right? This is a competitive advantage, and to get to where it's implemented in your business, it's not huge lift, right? It's pretty incrementally just saying, How do I accomplish 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? And once I've done so, then I've positioned myself to be ready for that next phase.
And I think to level set, right, if you've got an ERP that you rolled out 10 to 15 years ago, you might feel like you are keeping up with the Joneses, but in reality, technology falls behind really
100%.
fast. And so what we know is contemplating an additional change, a new technology, change management throughout the organization can be really daunting. We try to make it simple for our clients. It's part of our premise, but I do think it's a requirement.
It is.
And so love this quote here from John F. Kennedy: there are risks and costs to action, but they're far less than the long-range risks of comfortable inaction. And so where you're at right now might feel comfortable, right? Your systems that you have work as hard as they were to get into place, but thinking about how you can continue to optimize your systems so that you can deploy AI effectively throughout your business, that is a requirement, and the risk of not doing so is actually the existential risk to your business. So really quick, just kind of an assessment for you as Matt, we turn the corner here into practical frameworks they can think through to deploy this into their business. Want you kind of in the room, wherever you're at, in your office, at home, to do an honest assessment of your own situation, because you are not fully ready. You're not fully ready to deploy AI into your business if any of the following are true for you. So take out a pen, again, be really honest with yourself. So is your tech fragmented or still on paper? We run into filing cabinets on occasion. They still exist. They're still in use. Is your legacy ERP way past innovating, right? Do you still have on-prem systems that you deployed 20 years ago that don't connect to anything, and the data there is completely fragmented from the rest of your teams or your technology? Is knowledge locked in heads? We always talk about Brenda, the 30-year sales coordinator who has the keys to the kingdom, and if something happened to her, the business would completely fall apart. Is your data disconnected? This is a big one that Matt's going to talk about. Do you have systems that don't talk to each other, and you have to go look at multiple dashboards in multiple places as a leader if you want to figure out what's actually going on in the business? Is critical info trapped in spreadsheets? Do you have what I would call shadow spreadsheets? You have Tom, the spreadsheet wizard, who's got this, this masterpiece that he built, but that spreadsheet's disconnected from your systems. And then lastly, do you lack expertise to upskill your teams? As you talk about, we need to kind of update the way we think about work and workflows and training our team so that they become more adept to implementing AI in the organization. If these are true for you, you're not ready to deploy AI at scale.
Well, and I think the cool part about this is these are so common, whether we want to admit to it or not. Every business falls into these holes or these traps of saying, let me just work outside of this system for now because it's easy, or let me work over here because I like to do it my way, and I'm just doing my own process. I have the travel knowledge. It's okay. I got this. But if any of those answers were true, there are very simple ways to break down those barriers and start to move forward, as we've kind of talked about. So what I'm going to walk you through is just a very simple framework that we've outlined that I think is really important for leaders to think about, to understand, and to practically implement in their business. I've been in software a long, long time, and there was always this, I go buy a tool that does one thing or five things, and it's the best in class. That's all it does. It does this thing really well. And I think the propensity over the years is to cobble all of these different solutions together because I want to equip my team with the best tool or the best thing. Or if you're on the full end of the other side of the spectrum of, we didn't adopt anything, we have a financial management system and that's it. There needs to be a reckoning of pull it together. How do I make it easy and intuitive? But doing so will allow me to have that foundation. And so as we kind of consider the 4 steps that we feel are critical for not only assessing AI as an advantage for your business, but implementing it practically, the first is simplify.
The unfun one.
It is. And there are a number of tools that you can leverage out there today that have no cost, that allow you to analyze your business from a process standpoint. So when you kind of think about the travel knowledge or the exceptions or 80% of work is done the same way consistently, followed by all across my branches. What about that 20%? Is it documented? Do we have it captured? What's going on there? So the first kind of foundational piece that needs to be incorporated is simplify how work is getting done. When you go out there and you say, it's so easy, you can just voice voice to text.
Yep.
Here's how we do things, right? We can transcribe it. Then you can use a tool like Whimsical to actually build out a process map. And once you've got a visual of how work is done, it's really easy to kind of pinpoint and say, well, why does it go to project management or design 3 times? Like, why does sales have to go to design, then PM, then to sales, then to PM, and then finance? Like, what's finance doing way over here in this corner? It'll start to illustrate the areas of very easy opportunity to say, hold on, let's talk about the requirements. Where are my inputs? Where are my outputs? What am I trying to accomplish? And so by applying that methodology time and time again, whether it's business development, design, project execution, installation, things happening in the warehouse, you are able to 5% gain, 10% gain in efficiency. And then as I stack those together, the cumulative effect on the business is very tangible ROI.
Well, and this is where we have to start with a lot of our clients.
100%.
Some of them come to us, and again, Matt said it, you might fall into one of 2 camps. Some come to us with beautiful process documents, and they say, hey, great, put this in Vsimple, right? Make this our workflow in Vsimple. Others come to us and say, we have nothing.
Yeah.
So we sit down with their team, and we do essentially what we're saying ChatGPT in this hypothetical would do, which is download the process documents and then put them into a flowchart. And we do use these tools. These come recommended. Whimsical comes recommended to build flowcharts.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the next piece that is candidly more challenging, but as we progress, it makes sense that the steps that I'm taking become more involved as we move forward. And I think when you see the word integrate, you definitely think of technology. I got to integrate my systems. I already touched on it. If I have all these different platforms and they're all siloed, how do I pull them all together? But the other missing piece to that equation is, how do I pull together my communications, my documents, my teams, my branches, my service lines? There are other facets of the business that need to be consolidated together, because once I integrate people, process, documents, technology, and tools, once it's in one collective place, then I have a lens into quote to cash, exactly everything that's operationally occurring. And once that environment is established, then you can become really sophisticated quite easily when you're saying, well, how long does it take us to do those things? How long does it take us to execute the school versus the hospital versus the bank? Is it a difference in branch? Is it a difference in my team and their tenure? Complexity certainly plays a role in it. But as all of that data comes together, you can apply logic to say, combine the metadata, the soft things that we think we know, like I'm drowning in work. I'm always inundated with emails. I can't climb my way out of the hole. Well, that becomes data. It's not an emotion, right? And so then I can measure it and I can take action and course correct based on that.
You're hands-on, day in and day out, talking to commercial furniture dealers, manufacturers. Yeah. Most of them heavily embedded in an ERP system. Where do you feel like this gap is created for those who are probably listening right now? Like, where does the integrated system kind of fall apart for them?
Yeah, I think generally speaking, ERPs are great at financial management, right? They're really adept at saying, here's my ledger, here's my P&L. Oftentimes there's an incorporation of order management where I can get down to a real granular SKU level. But I think where we find that that's not satisfactory for most folks is that is a modular or out of the box solution, right? And so our sales process might be 15 steps. My design process might be 30 steps, when in reality, inside of an ERP, that might just be one status or one stage. And hey, guess what? My sales team doesn't like to use the CRM. It's a little clunky. We quote differently. We have a flooring division. We have a construction division. We've got different things in our business that don't conform to this out of the box solution. So that's where we start to find the biggest areas of like integrating your teams. It's that sales talks to coordination, talks to the different groups within the business. But once I submit the order, I'm blind to everything that's going on. So when an order acknowledgement is received, I have to email 3 people. I copy 5 different people. I'm always looking for an answer. And I think, the looking for an answer, if you find yourself or your colleagues in that circumstance.
You're fragmented. Yeah.
You're fragmented.
That's it.
That's
okay.
right.
That's good.
And this is kind of what we were just knocking out. Yeah. The one thing I would pause here and kind of ask you to reflect on, and it's an old adage, it's still true today as it was back then, but it is garbage in, garbage out. So being able to control for the quality of information that your team is putting into any technology, that's what is pivotal for proper decision making, for proper application of AI. And it doesn't have to be, there's 7,000 things I need to capture before I even talk to a customer or a prospect. We can build into proper data and proper management of that information, but in reality, it should only be touched one time. If your teams find yourselves inputting data here and then inputting the same information, and I have a team member doing the same thing, if that is not done once and then seamlessly transitioned to my different teams and branches, then you're introducing the opportunity for failure and bad data. So let's keep it simple.
I might jump the gun on where you're going with this, but I do think if you're listening along, the question might be, hey, we've talked about simplification and integration. What's this have to do with AI? Maybe tie those things together as we jump into the next step here.
That's right. Well, I think as we look at our pyramid here, we're building the foundation to have AI as an application. Because I think unless these three, and I'm going to talk about automate, but unless these three steps are really achieved before you have that vision, what you're going to find yourself doing is looking at a sales tool, an ops tool, your ERP or financial management system. And as leaders, you want to be able to say, what makes us win? Right?
That's right.
Pure and simple. How do I make more money? How do I grow my business?
Good.
How do I increase our margin? What makes us win, right? And if I were to ask a segmented platform like my sales CRM or my ops platform or ERP, they might do an analysis. They might offer an agent that's native to their platform. But what is going to be returned to you is three different answers.
That's
Sales is going to say, "Ooh, highest booking value, go there." Operations platform might say fastest throughput.
Yep.
That's just ordering a chair. I don't have to get design and PM engaged. Right. Well, that's not quite what we're looking for. And then your ERP might say, ooh, profit margin. That's what we want to focus on. And those might be the right answers for that tool set, but they're going to lead you down different paths.
Great.
So simplifying and integrating eliminates that from occurring. And then when we talk about automation, this is when it gets really fun, because what I like to think about is there's a little bit of gray area, like what is automation versus what is AI? To me, I think, speaking for many of my colleagues, automation is the business leadership team saying, this is how we want to work. This is what we want to measure. This is our scorecards. This is our KPIs. These are things that are integral to our business, followed by all, this is what we want to have happen.
Yep.
I define how things are going to occur. And then I'm going to let the system take care of the monotonous task and the data dissemination.
If an order comes through and it's blue and it's for Pittsburgh, give it to Jenny.
Basic
all that runs together.
That you want to have occurring that really 5, 10, 15% time savings can really add up to a lot of these things. And think about creating a proposal or creating a bid, right? It might be 15 variables that go into the composition of a bid, but if your team's creating that manually through spreadsheets and Word docs and templates here and there, it might be 20, 30, 45 minutes before that document's prepared and ready to go. Automation means I just click the one button and it says create that proposal and I'm ready, right? So automation allows business leaders to say, oh, it's a new account. I don't want you to be able to close an opportunity unless I have the documents on file that establish a proper relationship. Existing customer, not necessary. If something sits in sales queue or customer service queue or in design for an hour, a day, a week, a month, what do we want to have occur? Defining the rules. That's the difference between automation and AI. AI is saying, I see your rules. I see how things are being executed. The next time it comes up, would you like me to go ahead and knock that out?
Yep.
So the real delineation here is saying, okay, the business has defined what's going on. AI is letting the machines take that intelligence and start to apply it systematically. So going back to that pyramid, unless you've done those three kind of core foundational pieces, it's going to take you down the wrong path. It's not prepared to execute the way you want it to be executing.
I'll jump in here real quick on this quote. I love that this was 70 years ago, 75 years ago. IBM was ahead of the curve. I think there is a fear, right, amongst business leaders. Hey, you're talking about my best people, the people in these coordinator, admin roles. They've been mission critical to the business. Are you going to replace them? And the goal is no. The goal is let's elevate the work that they're doing every day. Let's give them a strategic lens through which they can manage the robots, the AI, the automation that's doing the work. And so in this reality that you have today, you might have somebody that's responsible for sending 200 emails a day or checking a bunch of approvals. They're doing the work.
That's right.
If we can get the automation and the AI to do those menial tasks, then those people can become strategic thinkers. People can think and the machines can do the work.
That's right. I think the way AI should be evaluated is as an accelerant, right?
Absolutely.
I've got our business figured out. We can take it to the next level. How do I scale? How do I position myself to go into a new market or territory? How do I position myself to go on an M&A activity kind of bender here? I want to go grab up 3 or 4 competitors, and I need to be fiscally prepared to do so. Or candidly, quite common in conversation is my next generation of leaders, my next generation of employees, like, what's my exit strategy? Well, I really want to have this business operating at maximum efficiency for the next wave of folks to take it to that level. That's the accelerant, right? I've defined my business rules. Now it's time to go.
That's good.
So I wanted to kind of stop here and kind of share a few things that we're actively helping our clients execute on, just to give you some examples to be considerate of. Vsimple has our own AI application. We are very diligent and deliberate in how we've implemented it and leveraged it. And I think that's also a consideration for everybody. Based on our customer feedback, based on the data and the analysis that we do jointly, where we've deployed AI is really focused on operational efficiency and uncovering those light bulb moments. So the first is really positioning your data in a way that you can go in there and ask it, what makes us win, right? So having AI layered in on top of your analytics, tremendous value. It'll sort, it'll pull together the different attributes, and do so in milliseconds relative to you building VLOOKUPs for days.
Well, and the leverage here too is where you maybe pull in an outside consultant. Hey, come in, spend a month with my business. And kind of get a new strategic lens, an outside lens, and tell me what you think makes me win, right? You're not going to take the robot's word at it and just go start making massive changes in your business because of what the AI insights are telling us. But you remove the need for somebody either on your team or an outside consultant to have to come in and put that strategic lens on your business. You can leverage AI to give you key insights like what makes us win. It's great.
That's right. Parsing, I think, candidly could be a total game changer for many of you out there. It's a simple philosophy and thought. It's being able to have systematic ability to kind of read documents, read images, read Excel sheets. The way we're starting to apply it routinely is consider like a purchase acknowledgement or a work order acknowledgement, right? I'm going to go procure a bunch of desks, a bunch of chairs, some acoustics, some modular aspects, and we're going to go outfit this building, right? There's a lot of complexity that goes into a project like that. Well, when I go place that order, being able to have drag and drop or intercept that email and say, you ordered 4 blue chairs, this says 3 green chairs, we should talk about it. And being able to catch that in a whim and then take corrective action, that type of activity historically has taken people opening up these emails, reading these long outputs, and they go to another system and they're trying to validate and gut check, like, does this look right? Does this feel right? And when you're doing that for 30, 40, 50 manufacturers and you're managing 30, 40, 50 projects simultaneously, that amount of information just invites inaccuracy. It invites opportunities for error. And so
Super
parsing,
time consuming too.
yeah, and it doesn't really add a lot of value unless you catch a problem on the front end. And so parsing allows groups to systematically approach documents and images in a way that eliminates the time barrier. It makes sure that everything's accurate.
Well, when the AI is where the AI comes in, is the AI is looking at those documents and pulling off the things that you care about as we continue to train it about what you care about, and then updating things maybe automatically or giving you feedback. So super powerful.
Last piece I'll touch on here, our agent. I think this is really impactful for groups that work on really complex projects or have national accounts or, hey, I work on schools. So we're based out of Louisville, Kentucky. I work with the University of Louisville. That's a campus. There's dozens upon dozens upon dozens of buildings. Each building has multiple floors. Do they have freight? Do they have elevators? Do they have, what do they got, right? There's a lot of composition that goes into, we work on that account. So the sidebar agent quickly assesses statuses of projects, ownership of tasks and notifications, historical relevance or historical activity with a customer. So when I'm walking into a meeting, I can say, just quickly summarize the activity from inception to today. Tell me who's up and responsible for the next activity. When are we forecasted to get this done? Is that on track, yes or no? How's our margin looking? So being able to prompt the AI agent to say, man, give me some really impactful analysis that I can put in my back pocket so that when I walk in the door or I'm having a conversation, I can better manage client expectations. And where this is evolving into and available is now, okay, go look externally. Go find me the next 5 University of Louisvilles. Go find me the next campus that I need to be focused on. And so being able to source external information, pair it together with our internal, that really accelerates business development as an activity.
We're going to show it off?
Yeah, so we're going to show you just a quick example, maybe a 90-second video, and then we'll come back and kind of wrap up from there.
That's great.
Hello, I'm logged into one of Vsimple's order management demo accounts where we've enabled VAI. I'm on the order page for an example order, and because VAI is enabled, the VAI sidebar appears here on the right. When I click that, I can ask one of the predefined questions here, or I can ask any question I have about what's been discussed in the activity stream, any of my docs shared, or the order info for this record. So if I ask a question about the warranty, for example, it will analyze all the information tied to this record, and it gets back to me and says that the warranty registration is marked as complete. That's great. Let's say I have a question about a shipment tracking number. It'll respond with the information related to that tracking number as well. And you can really ask any question you'd like to the VAI sidebar. We've started by adding this to the record page, but we'll be expanding the information that it can access and other places where the sidebar will appear in the app going forward.
The thing I like that video kind of illustrates is an opportunity for really a quicker acceleration of my analysis for business development. Right? Like I'm walking into this building, tell me everything I need to know, right? When was that building built? Has it been touched? There's 5 buildings. Are they all built in 1964 or have they kind of grown the campus? Because that's going to give me some really interesting foresight as I'm about to have that conversation. And I'm not waiting on the client or the prospect to answer some of the questions that are pivotal into our quoting and our bidding process.
It's great. It's exciting.
So, love this image. It's hard to kind of digest, but I think it's extremely important that we spend just 30 seconds talking about it. The fallacy in software from many years ago up until a couple years ago is that I can go buy all these different tools and they're all going to help and empower my teams. And while that's true, you're going to be persisting the silos that exist today.
That's right.
So each one's going to have an AI component. All software should be thinking about it. If they're not, look for another tool. But if the agents are all siloed in these other tools, you're still going to be missing out on the connectivity and the integration that needs to occur. Cohesive data is where you're going to win tomorrow.
Even worse would be you say, hey, well, we're just going to get our leadership team and our management team GPT accounts or Gemini accounts, or they're going to use Copilot inside of Microsoft. Copilot, that might be a small step up because it's at least connected to your email. The problem with just having team members in GPT or Gemini is all of their question asking, all the responses are completely disintegrated. So now you don't even have the cohesiveness of teams.
Right.
You have individuals out just kind of doing their own thing.
So I think kind of in summary here, whether it's Vsimple or another provider or just you guys sitting down in the boardroom on a piece of paper or a whiteboard and saying, all right, we got to wrap our arms around this. I think the first thing is really understanding that I need to simplify how we're doing things. I need to pull it all together. And if I can do so in a methodical way, it allows us to operationalize the business consistently, time and time again. It helps us scale. It helps us eliminate tribal knowledge. Some of the historical barriers for our growth are eliminated because now I've got 20% of my time back. I've got 30% of my time back. I'm not missing out on warranties. It's not error prone. I have significant dollar savings when I can achieve these efficiencies.
That's great.
So, AI, it's good and bad. If you've got bad data, you got bad process, you're not working it out, but you're going to go drop some AI in on top, you're likely just going to be accelerating the bad. So always be considerate on.
I like the money example, right? Is money good or bad? It's neither. But I think sometimes we want to think money will save our problems. It really is just an accelerant of what already is. You think about at home somebody that's won the lottery. It doesn't make them a great person. It magnifies the best and the worst things about them. AI is the same thing for your business.
So walking away, this is what we've covered. Definitely you're going to get access to these slides in this presentation. But simply just pick one process. Just go map it out, see what happens. Mm-hmm. Find the manual task, find the redundancies, figure out how you're going to eliminate that, and then apply that methodology across the enterprise time and time again. So we appreciate you guys kind of listening to our talk here. Our goal is really to position AI as something tangible today.
Yep. Not
just the pretty pictures that I can create on the fun apps, not just the macro level, getting to the moon AI. No. It's available today and it's very much present. So we're going to kind of turn it over here and field some questions, definitely give you guys some answers. And then the QR code on the screen, if you want to set up more time with us after the fact, love to speak with you.
And I'll prime, I'm going to pump up Matt real quick. So Matt's in the trenches with business leaders, again, specifically in y'all's space every day. So if you have really specific questions about your business model, your departments, your technology, I don't know if there's a better resource out there than the guy who's talking to people just like you every day. And if he can't help solve your problem, we have a team of solutions consultants and technology people that are hands-on with our clients and people that just are wanting to learn about Vsimple. So we'd love to talk to you. We'll turn it over to Austin, the man behind the camera. Austin, do we have any questions? Don't let me down.
We got a great question from Kelly about CRM automation.
Mm-hmm.
That's been a big push for them. Developing a plan for automation along with documentation of the automation. It's a challenge, right? Plan plus documentation. So what suggestions do you have to create a flow for automation?
Yeah, I mean, that's a really good question. I think to me, documenting is paramount because if it's just in my head or in my colleague's head, it's never going to be actionable. And so I think you're spot on in that the documentation needs to be probably step one. The implementation of how do I automate this stuff? Mm-hmm. You're trying to identify the number of handoffs that are going between my colleagues and myself or my teams, and what data is migrating to and from during those handoffs. If you find yourself copying people on emails, that's an automation. There's shouldn't be copying internal team members on any project-related activity. What we see typically is 50% of your internal email, it's gone tomorrow, right? When you start working with Vsimple, just as an example, because if it's data and information that's relevant to a project, what we're doing, it should be in one home. And so common questions I ask myself and I challenge others with is, if it's on a spreadsheet, probably can automate it. If it's in an email and an answer, or it's in Slack or in Teams, there's a better way to execute on that. And so having that documentation allows you to kind of figure out, well, I'm just sending this email to finance and they got to go plug all this stuff in, and then finance sends it back to me and then I send it for approval. It's like, everyone just needs to be operating on the same page. That handoff, that approval, that escalation, that shouldn't be occurring outside in separate silos. That needs to be incorporated into the build. And this is actually, to plug our team, this is what we tremendously excel at.
All day, every day.
All we do is process. Documenting is part of the approach, but implementing it in a way that's tangible and digestible for teams and people as individuals, that's what our team excels at.
Well, and I would say, so most modern CRM softwares out there, so not just Vsimple, all of them are going to have an automation suite if they don't get a new one. But yeah, I'm not going to rattle them off, but I can think of 5 to 10 off the top of my head that if you just typed in CRM, they're going to be the first things that pop up. They're all going to have some kind of automation available.
Yeah.
The hard part, and this is where our team is huge, but the hard part is having enough insight and thought to say, what are the opportunities in here to, and it's not just, hey, when we move it to this stage, this one thing needs to happen. There are typically, again, internal, external communications, all kinds of things that need to happen. So it's, I don't know if it's a consultant, if it's not us, but you need somebody that has an external lens, and that's what our team does excel at.
Yeah, CRM, it's not just sales. It's not just business development. It is beyond that into actual project execution, right? And so that's a different set of team members. That's a different set of considerations. How do I service my customers at the best of my ability? That's a more holistic, comprehensive analysis. And so CRM needs to be a little bit more broad in scope than just, here's a pipeline and here's my selling activity.
That's right. What, we got anything else? That was a good question.
Yeah, so Luke had a related question around how detailed does process documentation need to be?
How detailed does process documentation need to be?
Okay. Not that detailed, I think.
Well, like, can I jump in real quick? This is where done perfect is the enemy of done. Like, if you have nothing, something is better than nothing. Yep. So get something, but I'll let you pick up.
Look, I think what you have today is another foundational piece. It's a component, but in practical reality, that'll evolve, that'll change. It's going to change tomorrow. Mm-hmm. It's going to be fluid. What you need to really understand and establish is core process. When I'm quoting, when I'm executing, when I'm ordering, when I'm doing something, core process is such. But then I can kind of always toggle and finagle like the handoffs, the communications, the calculations, the data. So it really is a living, breathing process. It won't be set in stone. And I think, if it's I drafted my process one time 9 months ago, here it is.
Yeah,
probably it's already changed.
Yeah, that needs to be somebody's job. They need to be the keeper of the process, who's responsible for continuous improvement.
That's right.
All right, I think that's it. I think that's all we got. Hey, we know that whether you're doing this over lunch or you're taking an hour away from your team or your family, whoever it is, your time is valuable, and we really appreciate you investing it here with us. We are, hopefully you can kind of get this from me and Matt, like, we are a very collaborative team. We want to add value. We are not just scattering our software across the universe. We pick a handful of really specific industries, B2B, industrial industries, dealerships that we want to work with. And then we really love to serve people just like you. So we would love to talk with you, connect with you. If you have any questions at all, again, scan the QR code. It's coming straight to me and Matt. You'll get to talk to one of us. We would love to dig in with you. If not, follow us, vsimple.com. Follow us on LinkedIn. Stay connected to our content. We'll see you back here for the next one of these. Matt, thank you, man.
Appreciate it, guys.
All right. See ya.
Take care.